Springfield for the year 2020, and notice was posted in the Annex building on December 11, 2020. Notice was also posted to the Township of Springfield's website. Can we please stand to salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Can we take roll call, please?
Yep. Mr. Mark Cunningham. Mr. Stephen Hochstein. Mr. Stephen Hochstein. You're muted.
Sorry, I'm muted here.
Thank you. Mr. Daniel Poltrock.
Here.
Mr. Harris Lawfer. Mr. Stephen Furstenbaum.
Here.
Mr. Matthew Glass.
Here.
Mr. Raj Sahada.
Here.
And Chair Cohen.
Here.
We have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you. Before we get to our order of business this evening, I just want to take a moment to recognize our former Vice Chair, Dave Schnurr, who unfortunately passed away last week. Dave served on this board for the past 6 years. In the short time that I was able to get to know him, I quickly found him to be a very sincere and very kind man, and he generously contributed his time to our community. We thank him for that. Our hearts and prayers go out to Dave's family, Meredith, Samantha, and Alexis. He will be deeply missed. I will now move to the minutes from the July 20th, 2021 meeting. Has every member of the board who was present had an opportunity to review the minutes? Are there any questions or comments? If none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objection?
I abstain. This is Raj.
Gotcha. Thank you very much, Raj. Great. Motion passes.
Thank you. That leads us to our applications for this evening. The first application that's on this evening was carried from the June 15th, 2021 meeting. That's application 2021-14 for Shadow Lawn Drive, block 2003, lot 4. The request is for lot coverage, building coverage, and rear yard setback variances for a porch extension. Do we have the applicant here this evening?
Madam Chair, if I might, just for the record, this matter was carried at the June 15th meeting. At that time, it was carried to the July 2021 meeting. The further adjournment was announced at the July 2021 meeting, so no further notice was needed for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Jenkins. How are you?
Good evening. How you doing? How's everybody?
Good, thank you. So the last we left off, the board has requested elevations of some sort, architectural drawings, of before and after drawings, and I see that a couple of drawings were submitted. The first question that the board has for you is if you could tell us who prepared these drawings.
Architect by the name of Dermal McCreer, DERMAL MC, capital CREAR.
Has a life insurance policy. So it's perfect. That is great. I'll be able to.
Mr. Jenkins, 1 second. Bruce, do we have to swear him in again?
I think best practice would be to swear him in again.
Okay. All right. So before we continue, I'm sorry. Let's just make sure that we do this right.
Mr. Jenkins, if you would please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please, once again, state your full name, spell your last name, and please give us your home address.
It's Jerron W. Jenkins, last name spelled JENKINS, 4 Shadow Lawn Drive, Springfield, New Jersey.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
No. They already have a like policy.
Board member
Like you
Hawks
double up,
like
like you get a
to,
like a volume discount
oh, Mr. Glass, could you just mute, please?
on the, no.
Matt, can
That's
you
fine.
please mute?
Yeah,
Thank you. Board member Hochstein, would you like to speak to Mr. Jenkins regarding the plans that were prepared?
I just would like to say that in New Jersey, when an architect prepares plans, there's supposed to be a name and a license number on the plans that are submitted. So can you provide his license number to us?
I can, not off the top of my head, but I can submit it or I can.
Okay, but just so you know, when you submit plans in the state of New Jersey, you have to have your architect license number and you have to have a current standing as a licensed architect in New Jersey. So I would ask that be included in any submissions that you do.
Okay. I can get that for you. My wife is joining me. I had to be sweared in.
Teresa Ivy Jenkins. I'm sorry, I didn't know you all started already.
But I can get that to you, sir.
Okay. And your architect is currently licensed.
Yes.
Okay.
Please, okay, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I swear.
Okay. Please, once again, state your full name, spell your last name, and I presume you live still at 4 Shadow Lawn Drive.
Yes, I still live at 4 Shadow Long Drive, and my name is Teresa Ivy Jenkins, IVEY-JENKINS.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the board, you've had an opportunity to review the plans that were submitted. Do any board members have any questions for the applicant at this time? There are none. I'm going to open it up to the public. Do any members of the public have any questions for the applicant at this time? If so, you could raise your hand, put your name and the address in the Q&A. If you're on the phone, you can please hit *9 and then *6 to unmute.
If I may, just to be clear, this includes questions about the testimony that was given at the original hearing date on June 15th as well, because there was no public questioning at that time.
Thank you. Seeing none.
Can I just ask one question, Mr. Disco? Was there any site coverage issues that had to be addressed as part of this application?
Yes, there was variances necessary for the rear yard setback. This bump out addition is 23 feet from the rear property line, so it's a 7-foot encroachment. There was a building coverage which went from 28.9% to 30.8%. So a nominal increase of 1.9%, which is a variance. And the lot coverage went up also 1.9% from 41.6% to 43.5%.
So do you believe any water management requirements is done for this project? Or it's such a small increase, it doesn't matter?
It's a pretty small amount.
Okay. That's my only question, technically.
Okay. I would be inclined to grant the request for a variance for the rear yard setback, the building coverage and lot coverage, being that the coverages are de minimis and it does not appear that they would cause any of the variances or the relief that's requested would cause a detriment to any of the surrounding neighborhood. Any other board members? In favor?
Yep.
If so, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Madam Chair, is that going to be subject to submission of the plan with the appropriate information from the architect.
Yes, it's my understanding, and may correct me if I'm wrong, that when they submit for their final permits, they would have to be compliant with whatever regulations the municipality has on the plans themselves, which would include the name, address, and information for the architect and license number.
And not only the municipality, but basically through the building code. So it's an architect or design professional, or in some cases, the homeowner can submit plans based upon whether they're doing the work themselves, et cetera, et cetera. So they would have to obviously conform to whatever the DCA building code, Springfield building permit process is.
Thank you. All right, so in this case, yes, subject to that information being provided. So we have a motion to approve on the floor.
Motion to approve. Yep.
Is there a second? I will second.
Mr. Poltrock,
Yes.
Chair Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein,
Yes.
Mr. Furstenbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Glass,
Yes.
and Mr. Sahada.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Have a
luck.
good evening.
Have a
Good
good
luck.
week.
Thank you very much.
All right, so the next order of business is application 2021 dash, I want to say 15, let me pull this up, 1574 Washington Avenue, block 904, lot 46. This is an application that was carried from June 15th to the July 20th meeting, and thereafter at the July 20th meeting to the July 28th meeting. And at the time of the June 15th meeting, we were looking at a request for a variance related to the fence and a lot coverage variance. The fence, it appears, we denied the fence, but we are now here, or the applicant is now here before the board to discuss the lot coverage variance. Do we have the applicant here?
Apu, if you could please also pull in Renzo. I'll butcher his last name. There you go. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would just add for the board's knowledge that the applicant did go to the zoning officer and submit a compliant fence submittal. Fence has been relocated, if board members recall, from where it was to a compliant position. He also submitted a compliant above-ground pool zoning permit. And so the last remaining item is the lot coverage issue that we're going to address tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Tavaro, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Yes.
So you will be testifying, and I'm gonna butcher this. Renzo will be testifying this evening.
Yes, because he speaks better English than me.
Okay. All right. So, are we swearing them both in?
We can do it at the same time, yes. Mr. Tavera and Mr. Verastegua?
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Okay.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
I swear, yes.
Okay, starting with Mr. Tavera, once again, give us your full name, spell your last name, and your home address. And then Mr. Verastegui, if you could do that also.
Okay, Marco Tavera, 74 Washington Avenue in Springfield, New Jersey, 07081.
Thank you.
My name is Renzo Verastegui. I reside at 401 Spruce Street in Linden, New Jersey.
And are you here as a fact witness, or are you some kind of professional?
I am a fact witness. I am an engineer licensed in the state of New York.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Tavar, the last that we were before the board, we had requested some additional information regarding the lot coverage variance that you are requesting for the patio or paved area in the rear of your property, specifically with respect to stormwater mitigation. And
Yes.
have you submitted that? And can you tell us a little bit about the submission that you gave us?
Well, hello? Yes.
Yes,
So-
we can hear you.
So I just spoke with Renzo Verastegui. I explained the problem that I was having. So he came out with a proposal, or he can explain in a technical words much better than me, because I don't know anything about engineering or what, I don't. And I just wanna say that I'm here to comply with whatever it is. It has to be done. If whatever it has to be done, I will do. I will try to do the best I can and to comply with the rules and regulations from the Springfield, from the township of the Springfield. So basically, if you need more technical words or the way he's thinking, he's proposing, how can we take care of this? That will be better for Mr. Verastegui to explain way much better than me.
Okay, so let's hear from Mr.
Yeah.
Verastegui.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm not sure if everyone got a chance to review the sketch that I sent you guys earlier today. Is that something distributed, or should we just go into just what the overall scheme is?
Is this the exhibit A1 that we were looking at in our packets?
Yes, Chair, it is.
Okay, Apu, could you pull that up on a share screen, please? And was this submitted as part of the original application? I'm assuming not, since he said this morning. Should we mark this?
Yes, we should mark this as A1. And Mr. Tavero, we do need a hard copy of this submitted after the hearing, so it's in the township's record.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so let me just, I guess, go overview this drawing and a little background on this. Like Marco said, we discussed several options, quote unquote in-house, and then once we had a scheme, we reached out to Jennifer and to Mr. Disco to come into an understanding of what technically would resolve this issue, aside from exceeding lot coverage and getting resolution on that. Just to solve the technical issues, this is what we presented and we've discussed with Michael Disco. So what you're seeing here is the shaded area represented by gray and in yellow represents the total built area, whether it's concrete, the house itself, the garage, and so on. That represents the total built area of the lot. What we are proposing is to isolate the yellow hatched area, which you're seeing on the plan right now, which amounts to a total of 1,745 square feet. And ultimately the goal is that what we want to do is get the water runoff and the drainage to essentially not reach the streets and collect into the water system. What we want is the drainage from this isolated area to just infiltrate the surrounding soils. And then so what we need to do to achieve this, quote unquote, an island, so let's just say, is one thing is, if you see this pink line that divides the gray area and the yellow area, we want to essentially cut the pavement. And if you can see section A on the left-hand side, we would cut the pavement, and I don't know if you can zoom in there. But the idea on the top left. So the idea would be to slot a trench within the existing pavement along that line, and excavate a 2 feet deep by 2.25 feet wide trench, and fill it with gravel, and then restore the pavement and install a channel drain, so the water that's running off would infiltrate into this drainage area and infiltrate into the ground. So this would be, if you go back to the plan, this would be the 56-foot run that I've measured there, which represents that pink line. And then, in addition to that, around the entire perimeter, which is basically the remaining, let's say 3 sides of this yellow zone, there is a blue outline which represents creating a perimeter trench, very similar to the one I just explained, except if we zoom in on back to that corner, section BB, essentially the idea is to create a collection pocket, made out of essentially a pit similar size as the one previously explained, and filled with gravel. So that's essentially the scheme, just to basically mitigate the drainage in this zone. With that being done, if we zoom out now, you can see what the remaining portion, like if I take the yellow zone out, what you're going to remain as part of the lot coverage, that's essentially somewhat connected to the streets and all that. It's the 4,012 square feet, which amounts to about 33%.
Thank you. Do any board members have any questions?
I'm not sure it's a question, but I did not see this map, or rather this diagram, in the packet, because the package that was presented to me predates this. I just asked whether other people on our board have looked at it, and whether what appears to be calculations on there, of which I can only see approximately half, whether they, well, that solves some of the problem. But but since I've not done any work with it, whether it just, whether it meets with what it's supposed to meet.
Yeah.
So I think that's for our professional. If
Well, that's what I'm asking. If the
Mhm.
professional at least had the chance to review it, I did not.
yes,
Yeah, I can respond by saying we went through a couple of iterations with the applicant and his New York engineer. The methodology was agreed upon originally. In other words, the method of collection of the stormwater. And then it was just a question of getting to the numbers. So what this does is surround the entire area of the pavement that was added by the applicant knowingly or unknowingly over the last couple of years, and mitigates all of that. And so the board members understand it's for a 100-year, 24-hour storm, which would be 8.7 inches of rainfall on that entire area. And they are providing the volume to handle that amount of rain runoff for that. So I'm very comfortable with the design and the effort made, and it does satisfy our ordinance.
That's fine with me. I just didn't see it, so I couldn't. I just wanted it clarified and placed on the record.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other board members have any questions at this time? Okay, I'm going to open it to the public. Do we have any members of the public that have any questions for the witnesses? If so, can you put your name and address in the Q&A or raise your hand by pressing the raise hand? If you're on your phone, *9.
Seeing none.
Thank you. Based upon Mr. Disco's testimony given on this application, it appears that the applicant has presented a plan that would help mitigate any of the potential impact that the already placed paved area would have on the surrounding neighborhood. I would be in favor of the lot coverage variance. Any other board member?
I would concur that since Mr. Disco studied it and approved it, that I would make a motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks. Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Mr. Poltrock?
Yes.
Mr. Furstenbaum?
Yes.
Mr. Glass?
Yes.
Mr. Sahada?
Yes.
And Chair Cohen?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Tabara, maybe I leave you with this. I implore you that if you're going to do any work on your property, please come see the township. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thank you, everyone.
The last application that we have on the agenda this evening is application number 2021-23 for 24 Golf Oval, block 1703, lot 6. This is a request for a lot coverage variance to install a patio in the rear of the property. Is the applicant here with us?
Apu, can you please pull in Kathy Mueller? Thanks.
Hello, yes, Mr. and Mrs. Whites are here for 24 Golf Oval.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. Okay, so you have your professional here as well. Let's start with the applicants. We're going to swear you in.
Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Whites, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes.
Would each of you please state your first name, spell your last name, and one of you give your home address, please?
David Whites, D-A-V-I-D, the last name is spelled W-E-I-T-Z, and the address is 24 Golf Oval in Springfield, obviously.
And Judith White, W-E-I-T-Z.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please tell us a little bit about the relief that you're requesting, the reasons that you're requesting this.
Sure. We moved in about 3 years ago. When we did, our backyard was kind of unusable. I think there was about 13, 14 trees back there, and those had to come down, part of the purchase with insurance. And for now, we're home a lot. Our daughters, we have a 3-year-old daughter and a newborn. We're home a lot, and she plays outside quite a bit. But since we don't really have an entertainment area for her friends or family, so we're requesting to put in a patio so that we don't have a patio back there. So we're requesting to put it in. So we do have a place for her friends to eat As right now, when we do entertain, it's actually in the front of the house, and that's a little dangerous for us. You know, there's a lot of delivery trucks that come, you know, it's a quiet street, but still there's a lot of delivery trucks that come by. So we'd just like to really relocate ourselves in the back of the house instead of the front.
And the reason why we're currently using the front of the house is part of this plan also is to regrade the backyard. We have a 3-foot drop in the middle of the lawn. And so kids would fall if they played back there in the backyard.
Okay. Thank you. And I see that you have your professional here that will speak to the plans. How are you, Ms. Mueller?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Can we swear?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, provide us with your business address.
Sure. Catherine with a C, Mueller, Mueller. I'm the owner and president of Page Mueller Engineering in Warren Township, New Jersey. I'm a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, and my license is in good standing.
Excellent. Have you testified before boards in the state of New Jersey previously?
Yes, the surrounding areas, Garwood, Watchung, Greenbrook, Warren, Summit, to name a few.
Thank you very much. Do any of the board members have any objections to qualifying Ms. Mueller as an expert in engineering? You are so qualified.
Thank you. So as the Whiteses have explained, the goal of their project is to create a patio in the backyard for entertaining and usability. There is a deck there now, but they want to install the patio and flatten out their backyard. The reason we're here tonight is for a impervious coverage for the lot coverage variance. The existing is 28.5, which at one point was complying when it was 30% coverage. So anything that they would add, now allowable is 27. So any improvements or change of the deck to a patio just in the same size would create an additional variance. So we looked at the plans, we worked with them and their landscape architect to figure out how much patio is usable. There'll be stairs from their first floor that come down and kind of eat into the depth of it. So the end result is, with the conversion of the deck, an increase of 550 square feet of new impervious, and that equates to 34% impervious coverage. So as part of that, we did do a stormwater management solution. We have the patio sloping away from the house. We have a collection drain at the back side of the wall, which will be stone with perforated pipe. That will then head to the left side of the property where we've designed an arch system. Not knowing the soil types, we tried to stay shallow. So we have 3 arches proposed with the adequate volume to store 8.7 inches of rain over the increase. So 8.77 inches or 8.7 inches times 555 square feet. That is provided in the underground system. And then you'll note that we're adjacent to an inlet in the back. There's a storm drainage. We didn't tie into that. We actually did a more of a periscope, bubble out the top, run over and into the inlet. That allowed us to keep the system even more shallow and also account for the full volume provided in the system. If we were to put a pipe out the side, we would lose the volume above the outlet from the pipe to the top of the arches, and the stone in that elevation as well. So that's why we designed it the way we did. So we have a 3.5 foot maximum wall, which will be at the edge of the patio. We've provided exit or egress from their back, their garage to the patio, and then also from their main level to the patio. And we have about a 4% to 5% grade for the lawn area that'll be resultant with the wall. And then one other thing that we do show on the plans is a 6-foot board-on-board fence to fully enclose the backyard for their kids. So that's the gist of the application. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Any board members have any questions for this witness?
I just have one question. Can you tell us that whether or not this will adversely affect any of the neighbors in any way?
It will not.
Okay.
We actually pulled the wall in from the right side so that any grading or installation of the wall won't affect their existing bushes on theirs. So we did take that into account.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the board have any questions? I'm going to open it up to the public. If there's any member of the public that has any questions for the witnesses, please state your name and address in the Q&A or star 9 on your phone. None.
Seeing none.
Thank you. Okay. I believe with the mitigation efforts for the stormwater that they have satisfied any potential detriment that the overage would cause. So I'd be in favor of granting the variance for the lot coverage for them to install their patio.
I'd move it if it's appropriate at this time.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks. Mr. Furstenbaum,
Yes.
Mr. Polchak,
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein,
Yes.
Mr. Glass.
We'll come back.
Yep. Mr. Sahada,
Yes.
Chair Cohen,
Yes.
Mr. Glass. Should I skip him, Mr. Bergen? We have enough.
Put him as an abstain.
Okay. Great. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good
Have
luck.
a good night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
When is our next meeting? August
17th.
17th.
August 17th. Excellent. I will hopefully see you all on August 17th. Is there any other business by any member of the board?
Just to move to adjourn.
Perfect. Let's have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion.
In favor. Have a good evening,
Aye.
everyone.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.